is New Year's Eve, and of course, yesterday, if you were not aware, was the last day of the 2018 regular season in the National Football League. We are going to do our yearly discussion of how the regular season ended up being. Like we always do, we talk about head coaches fired on Black Monday, which of course today is Black Monday. We are going to talk about an article that I just read for Todd Bowles' future, because he was fired, and I'll get to that in this video. I'm also going to see if I was correct about my NFL season predictions, as you see right here. I have it right up there. If you can't see it, that's alright, but it's up there. I'm making sure that the mouse cruiser is still there. There we go. So we do have our mouse cruiser. So it should be back when I go down, hopefully, and I can highlight some stuff. And, of course, we're going to take a look at the tentative NFL draft board for the first round. So, that being all said, let's go to the head coaches that are fired or were fired during the 2018 season, and of course fired today on New Year's Eve. So, our first coach to go was Hugh Jackson from the Cleveland Browns. He was fired in October, and Greg Williams was promoted to head coach. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that Greg Williams should stay as coach as the Cleveland Browns, because he was a positive influence for Baker Mayfield, despite the fact that the Cleveland Browns were close to upsetting the Baltimore Ravens last night, which I wouldn't be in a good mood today if Baltimore didn't win their game yesterday. So what we're going to do, we're going to get to some scores from yesterday, just to recap yesterday. We'll keep the scores up here. So there's the NFL scores from yesterday. We'll keep that up there. Probably, yeah, we'll put that up there. So, Hugh Jackson was a disaster. Cleveland just couldn't find their right quarterback. I have faith that Baker Mayfield's going to be their face of the franchise. I'm hoping for many decades to come, well, the next decade, that maybe we'll see a lot of the Mayfield-Jackson duel. I think Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield are not done. I think the future of the AFC North is going to be dependent on the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. And a lot of people are going to agree with me on this, because if you keep Greg Williams, you have a good shot of possibly being a 10 or 11 win team and making the playoffs next season. So that's going to have to be something I look when I make my predictions next summer. But another promising franchise I feel who's going to have some faith is after the Todd Bowles fire are the Jets. Because even though they went 4-12, think about how you have Baker Mayfield in Cleveland and Sam Darnold in New York. So when you think about that, Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, that's a job people are going to want. But also, Darnold in New York, because these are two up-and-coming quarterbacks. And this draft for this year, and I'll recap it at the end of this video, I'll show you how important the draft was this year, just to prove my point that a lot of these head coaching vacancies are very appealing this year, because you have good quarterbacks who can get your team to the playoffs next season. I could even see the Jets hopefully being a 9-win team and maybe sneaking into the playoffs. That certainly cannot be out of the question, because the thing is, historically, when the Jets have a new head coach since, let me think, right, Parcells, Edwards, Mangini, Ryan, excluding Todd Bowles, you have to think that whoever's coming into that Jet job, hopefully history can be prevailed and the Jets somehow, under a new head coach, make it into the playoffs the first season the new coach comes in. So I would not be surprised in 2019 that you could see a possibility where the Jets somehow make the playoffs. Unfortunately, the franchises who are not going to look good are the Denver Broncos and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals don't have a future. The Broncos don't have a future. They're in rebuilding situations. So, no coach is going to want to go there for their first choices. The thing is with Jacksonville, I'll go into that in just a second here. Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell, they're staying. Who's the quarterback going to be? Because we don't know the future of the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. We don't even know what the New York Giants franchise is going to be. And, I just don't know what's going to happen with both the Jaguars and the Giants. Because the possibility you could be seeing Eli Manning playing for Jacksonville. I definitely would not rule that out. It could definitely happen, but we'll have to wait and see. The Dolphins. Now, interesting situation with the Miami Dolphins. Adam Gase. Adam Gase was, of course, on the hot seat because they were expected to somehow sneak into the playoffs, but that didn't happen. They are actually considering looking into hiring Rex Ryan. Could Rex Ryan be a coach again? We'll have to wait and see, but he is a name that's out there. But as far as the Jets are concerned, I'm going to have to say this right now. I could see the Jets begging Jim Harbaugh to leave Michigan. Listen, I don't care. It's rumors, but it's a possibility. I would not rule that out. Or another good name, former Detroit Lions coach Jim Caldwell. He's a good candidate. He took the Lions to the playoffs, so I would not rule that out. Now, my Ravens, Harbaugh's going to stay no matter what. Listen, I think Harbaugh's going to stay, especially how they've made the playoffs. And I could definitely see Baltimore giving Harbaugh a long-term deal because Harbaugh was on the hot seat this year out of all the coaches in the NFL anyway, because there was high expectations that they were supposed to be a playoff team. They thankfully made the playoffs, but we'll have to see how that ends up, because I will do a recap of the playoffs right after AFC, NFC championship game. So I'll recap every game. I have a tentative date for January 21st to do that video, so you won't want to wait for that. I encourage you to subscribe if you're new, and it should be interesting when I recap the playoffs. But let's go back to the topic at hand at the moment. Head coaching fires. Mike McCarthy, I broke the news live here on YouTube. Jim Caldwell, again, the name I can see for the Jets. Chuck Pagano, the former coach of the Indianapolis Colts. That's a possibility. Joe Philbin is going to be interviewed. But the thing is, Aaron Rodgers does not want Joe Philbin to be his coach. The Packers are still in a situation where if Aaron Rodgers can somehow get back to being the old Aaron Rodgers that we know and love, they could be a playoff team next season. But until then, we don't know what's going to happen with that. Cardinals, they fired Steve Wilkes, their coach. They have a sexy quarterback appeal with Josh Rosen, but I don't know. Tampa Bay fired their coach too, Dick Cotter. That's actually a pretty good appeal to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because you do have a quarterback in Winston. You do have a top wide receiver in Mike Evans. They have another receiver, but listen, anything's possible. That's a situation where if the right coach is there, they can turn it around, but If I'm a candidate looking for a job, I would definitely look into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers job, because you do have a good situation set in Tampa. And that's all the coaches that were fired. Now, quickly want to mention Todd Bowles for a second. It looks like Todd Bowles is going to go back to where he belongs. It looks like he's going to be a defensive coordinator. I could definitely see him being back as a defensive coordinator. I could even see him going back to the Arizona Cardinals as a defensive coordinator. I would not rule that out, because he was much happier as the defensive coordinator in Arizona. So, one other thing was, Todd Bowles is going to say goodbye to his players via teleconference. So, that should be interesting. Quickly want to mention, this is funny. The logo quiz. Houston Oilers. Mike McCarthy, Hugh Jackson, and Dick Quatere. Now, I could see McCarthy getting hired somewhere, but Hugh Jackson and Dick Quatere, that's certainly an interesting situation. That's for sure. So now we're going to recap some scores from yesterday. There's some non-meeting games, but Falcons won. It was a close game yesterday, 34-32. The Falcons are another situation where they can turn around next season and hopefully make the playoffs. Bills massacred the Dolphins 42-17. I know somebody from the Bills called it quits yesterday. I quickly want to mention a note from the Panthers-Saints game was that even though the Saints did lose this game, and I'll quickly mention this, Teddy Bridgewater, who should be a candidate for Giants quarterback or backup quarterback or whatever, he had his first touchdown in 2 years yesterday. So that is a big accomplishment. And I'm going to say it now, even though the Saints really weren't playing for anything yesterday, if Breeze somehow gets injured, the Saints shouldn't panic about their quarterback situation. They have a third string that's decent, and they have Bridgewater. So they still are a dangerous team in the playoffs. Now, yesterday when I was in Staten Island with my cousins, we were actually watching the Giant-Cowboy game because we were worried that it was going to be Eli Manning's last game. Eli Manning had 2 touchdowns yesterday, 301 yards. Prescott almost got 400 yards yesterday. Elliott was out with an injury, but I think they're doing that so he can play next week against the Seahawks. Saquon Barkley, very good game. He had 109 yards, and everybody where we were in the restaurant yesterday was shocked. Like, we were saying, whoa, how did he dive into the end zone with the football like that? And again, most of my family are Giants fans, so of course they wanted. My cousin was specifically telling the catering staff, you better not put the Jet game on, because he would have not been happy that he couldn't see the Giants yesterday. But what was the point when they blow a lead and go for a 2-point conversion, the Cowboys? I thought the Giants should have won yesterday just because, again, we don't really know if it's Eli Manning's last game in the NFL, honestly. Is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? I can't really say at the moment, but if I were to vote, he would not. I would put Drew Brees over him any day of the week because of what Drew Brees has accomplished more than Eli in terms of stats. Patriots murdered the Jets yesterday. The reason why Brady had to start was they were playing for a first-round bye. So New England's now the 2 seed in the bracket, which we'll get to that in this video, of course. But important that Brady played, and now Brady gets the week off. He gets to rest, and he'll be ready for a home game next weekend, not this upcoming weekend. So Brady should be resting up for that. Texans clinched the AFC South. I was right about that, which we'll get into my predictions what we're right and what we're wrong in just a second. So the Texans did clinch the AFC South yesterday. Lions destroyed the Packers. And awful game yesterday. Rodgers didn't look like himself. They benched him. They put Kaiser in. So that was a disaster for the Packers yesterday. Chargers had a nice season, 12-4. A lot of the experts thought they were going to be a playoff team. I didn't think so. I thought it was fool's gold, but Phillip Rivers impressed me this season. Despite being a 30-something-year-old quarterback from the South, he's still overrated. He's not won that ring he was supposed to bring to San Diego or Los Angeles. So, nice way to finish the season. Rams clinched a first-round bye, 48-32 yesterday. Seahawks finished 10-6. They play the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington next weekend. Eagles make the playoffs because the Vikings lost yesterday. Here's the score, 24-10. So Minnesota does not make the playoffs. Philadelphia does on a 9-7 record. They get to play the Chicago Bears next weekend. My Baltimore Ravens almost got scared off yesterday by the Browns. Thankfully, C.J. Mosley with the big play at the end of the game, picking off Baker Mayfield. That was huge. Huge for the Ravens yesterday. Baltimore, for the first time since 2014, does make the playoffs. Thank goodness. It's been awful being a Ravens fan. I thought we should have made it last year. My theory was last year, if the Ravens had made it, they were going to win against Jacksonville and then lose in the AFC Championship game or the divisional round, and Flacco was going to be hungrier than ever, but now we got Lamar Jackson, so Lamar's really proving himself lately. I gotta give the guy credit. Chiefs, again, get the best 12-4, best record in the conference, so they're the number 1 seed. Chicago Bears 12-4, but the thing is, because the Rams and the Saints finish off at 13-3, they're your 1 and 2 seed in the NFC, which I thought the Saints were in a rebuilding phase, and Breeze was just going to play for show, but Breeze actually had a good season. Steelers lost. They failed to make the playoffs because the Ravens won. And the Colts, for the first time, and I can't even remember the last time they were in the playoffs. They're back in the playoffs. Mr. Andrew Luck's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. If he's not Comeback Player of the Year, then who else is? The other thing that impressed me from this game last night, was Marvin Mack. The guy is pretty amazing. And listen, you can say all you want about some 6 seeds. We've had wildcard teams win Super Bowls. Never rule them out. Because Father Time is not on Andrew Luck's side. He has been out the past couple of seasons with a neck injury, or whatever the injury was. I forget what it was at the moment, but I felt so bad for Andrew Luck because I watched him at Stanford, and I was saying to myself, this is going to be the next star. Like, he's going to be his own guy. He's going to be a big deal. Well, last night, to me, he proved something, that he was hungry. He's back in the playoffs, and listen, they're playing the Houston Texans next week. I think they're going to show off and tell the whole league that, Deshaun, you're still young. You're going to be around for a long time. The Texans will get there eventually, but it's not this year. I don't think so. So let's go into my predictions. Let's see what I got right. I was right about New England winning the AFC East. So we'll go back and forth. New England finished 11-5. I was right about the Texans with 11-5. Unfortunately, I was wrong about the Oakland Raiders. They had an awful season with 4-12. We don't even know where they're playing next season. They could be playing in Los Angeles. They could be playing in San Francisco, because they're not supposed to play in Las Vegas until 2020. So we don't know where the Raiders are going to be playing next season. I was wrong about the Pittsburgh Steelers because my Ravens actually finished off a 10-6. So that is pretty impressive. I didn't think the Ravens were going to be winning the division. I thought they were going to be 10-6, and I thought the Steelers were going to be 12-4 or 11-5 and win the division. But things happen, and you can't control it sometimes. You know, it happens. So I'm happy Pittsburgh got knocked out, and I was right about the Texans. What I was wrong about was the Ravens winning the wild card, which they did make the playoffs. I was right about that. But the Jaguars not making the playoffs. Guess where Jacksonville finished off? 5-11. Let's go to the NFC. Now, I originally had went with the Philadelphia Eagles to repeat as divisional champions from last year. I was right about them making the playoffs, so I got something right. I got something right here. They finished 9-7, made the playoffs, but the Dallas Cowboys, who I didn't think were going to even be in the playoffs, 10-6 and won their division, so not too bad. Now, in the West, I went with the 49ers because I thought that they were ready to win with Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo went down with an injury. We don't even know if he's going to play next season. So, the 49ers, another bad season, 4-12. They're still in a rebuilding phase. Green Bay Packers, I had winning the North. Unfortunately, we all knew what happened, 6-9-1. The Bears ended up winning that division. In the West, I'll quickly mention the Rams won, if I didn't say that correctly. And in the South, I went with the Falcons because I thought the Falcons were going to win the Super Bowl this year. Unfortunately, I was wrong about that. They went 7-9. Very disappointing season for the Falcons. I thought maybe they could have won 8-8 and finished at 500, but that didn't happen. So the Falcons can come back, but that window for Matt Ryan, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. So my wild cards were the Rams and the Panthers. Carolina went 7-9. I was right about the Rams. They ended up with a good record, 13-3, second seed in the division. So Seahawks actually had a pretty good year. Wilson was his old self, and they get to play the Dallas Cowboys next week, and the Bears get to play the Eagles, which we'll get to the bracket right now. So here's your bracket. Now, here's how I think it could end up. I'm going to make a quick prediction here. So, Texans and Colts. I know Houston's hosting, but I think with a possibility here, I could see the Colts winning this game. So the Colts do make it to the AFC Championship divisional round. They lose to New England. New England goes to the championship game. Ravens, Chargers. Baltimore could win that game. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs winning that game because if you don't remember, the Ravens went to Kansas City and they lost in overtime. I think the same thing's going to happen again, except I think the Chiefs will win in regulation. The Chiefs, I think that they're capable of going to the Super Bowl. So I'm going with the AFC for the Super Bowl Chiefs. NFC, I'm going to go right now with the Bears winning that game. Eagles are just fool's gold. I'm going to go with the Cowboys playing the Saints. And I think everything's set for a Ram-Saint matchup. I think the Saints are going to play the Chiefs. It's going to be 1 versus 1. I could see it happening, but remember, anything goes. So we'll have to wait and see if I can... I like to see Mahomes face off against Brees. That would be a good Super Bowl. Which, again, I think the Ravens are going to win next week, but I think they'll lose against the Chiefs. I'm definitely not ruling that out. I definitely would keep an eye on that situation closely. So now we're going to go to the draft board, last segment of the video today. So here's the draft board. The Jets are picking 3, Giants are picking 6. I know for a fact the Giants are supposed to, see if I can look up something for a sec. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to see what the Giants could pick. So here's a mock draft at the moment from NFL.com. Let's see who they got with the Jets. They're probably going to go with an offensive lineman. I could see that happening. Oh! Falcons are cleaning house! This is breaking news! Wow! That doesn't surprise me. They should clean house. That's good for them, but they're not going to fire that coach. No. I do apologize about that, everyone. Let me put that on pause. Here we go. Yeah, they're going to go for a quarterback. Let's see. I have a text from my friend. He sent me this name last night. I'll Google it at the moment when I get the text from my friend. I'll pull it up in just a second. We'll go to the mock board in just a second here. So Jets are picking 3, Giants are picking 6. So that should be interesting. The Giants do get a quarterback. It's a possibility because my friend was texting me, a friend of mine was texting me last night, and he gave me this name. Dwayne Haskins. Let's look him up. So here is Dwayne Haskins. Now, he can afford a 6, which, let's see if Mel Kiper has a, Mel Kiper Draft 2019. Let's see. Because Mel Kiper is the guy you normally go to. Let's see if I can get something for you on Bleacher Report. Can't really get you an accurate thing because it would have to be from ESPN.com. Alright, here we go. Alright, let's see who the Giants would pick. Oh, that's an epic fail. That is an epic fail. I am sorry, folks. NFL mock word. Let's see if we can find something. Looks like SB Nation has Dwayne Haskins being picked at number 6. Yes, here we go. So it's a possibility. Because the thing is, look at the Cardinals. They're going to go with Nick Bosa. Which, again, they are going to go with somebody on the defense. Niners are going to go with somebody on the defense because they're going to want to have somebody there in case Garoppolo does come back and he's healthy, and it's a possibility. Jets are going to go with an offensive lineman. Raiders are going to go with somebody on the D-line because they have a quarterback. So think about this, folks. Dwayne Haskins, who is going to be the best quarterback in the draft, he could be drafted by the Giants. Should I wait until 2020? Because 2020 looks good. Because the thing is, Tagovailoa, I think he's going to stay. I think he is going to stay in Alabama for one more season. So I think he's a senior next year. Hang on. If I can't spell his name, I apologize. I just want to know how old he is. Let's see. I do apologize, everyone. It's so hard to spell his name. Alright, so here he is. This is going to be the best quarterback next season. Because the thing is, Tua Tagovailoa, who is the current quarterback of the Alabama Crimson Tide, he's going to be a senior next season. So if I were him, I would just stay in college another year. Even if he loses to Clemson in the championship game, I would just stay at school for another season. Enjoy the senior year of college, and then go to the draft next season. That's the way I would do it if I were him. I could definitely see Tagovailoa being a quarterback in 2020 for the NFL season. That's definitely not out of the question. So again, the Giants could pick Haskins from Ohio State. It would be interesting. I think they're going to go that route just as a precaution. Could they sign a free agent quarterback? I don't know. I mean, maybe it's competition for Manning. Maybe there'll be something interesting in the Giants situation. But the Jets have a better situation because, again, they have the quarterback. They have the pieces. They just need to be careful on who they get and who's going to be the coach. The Giants don't really have a good situation. I'll mention the Ravens very quickly. They have a situation where backup quarterback could be essential. Flacco could be somewhere else next season. So it'll be interesting, but for now, the playoffs start. Once again, we'll go to the... trying to get you the bracket. This is your bracket. Playoffs start this Saturday, January 5th. So of course, yours truly will be here. And once again, I will recap every game from the playoffs on January 21st. So that being all said, thank you all for watching. Until the next one, please take care.